Hey y'all, this is Sherelle Martin with Nitram Financial Solutions, where we teach bookkeeping without boundaries. So it is June. The first half of the year is about to be closed, and it is the time of the year where me typically recommends that you do a cost audit. So this is something that I have created in my practice that we do with clients. We typically recommend that you do it twice a year, but minimally you should be doing it once a year. So what is a cost audit? You may have heard me talk about it on other videos before, but a cost audit is the process of going through your numbers and identifying where the money leaks are in your business, and then determining whether you're going to cut them and how you're going to cut them. And so it's a 4-step process where you determine if you need the expense, you establish the ROI on whatever that expense is, if you're getting the benefits from it, you establish whether or not that's the only product that you need that particular product, service, whatever you're paying for. Or if there are other alternatives, if you are overlapping, and then you establish whether you need to cut it and actually go through the process of cutting it. So that's what the 4 steps of what a cost audit is. That's how you identify what you need to cut and then actually going through the steps of cutting it. And so what we find when doing this is that there are at least 7 different areas within a business where we see costs need to be cut the most. Like, obviously it depends on the business industry, it depends on the size of the businesses and things like that. And there may be other costs in addition to this list, but these are 7 expenses that typically almost always have a space where a cost needs to be cut. And so I'm going to share with you what those 7 things are. These 7 areas are things that often go overlooked or forgotten about within a business. And so it's typically where we see most of the money leaks occur. So the first one is looking at your subscriptions that you have and paying for excess users. So we're forgetting to remove users and paying for them well beyond their time where they have left the organization or they no longer need access to that particular application. And again, I'm speaking firsthand. I started my cost audit for the year and realized that 2 apps that I have, where I'm still paying for people who are no longer with the company, and ended up paying a few $100s more than I needed to. And some of these are on a monthly basis. And so I've had to go in and remove those users. So removing users who are no longer active in a company or who no longer need access to whatever that said software is one of the main ways that where money is leaking out of the business. Another second way that money is leaking out of the business is that we have multiple apps that all do the same thing. We have a calendar app where you may be a Google-based company and Google does scheduling. So why do we have a calendar app? Or you may have a CRM system that your email list might also double as a CRM system and a task management system, but you also have a task management system and a project management system in the services that you provide for the apps that you do. We predominantly use QuickBooks within our practice, and QuickBooks has a task management feature within it, but we also have our closing software that has a task management system in it, and we also have a project management app where we're tracking the non-client related tasks that need to go on in the form. So technically they all can do the same thing. It's just figuring out a way to reduce the overlap and eliminate the duplicate software subscriptions. So the second way is that we're using multiple apps to do the same thing. A third way that money leaks out of the business is that you're paying for an app that you're not even using. Just flat out not even use it. Signed up for it. It looked pretty on the website. You watched the demo video, all the bells and whistles. You were excited about it, signed up for it, never even used it. But you keep saying every month, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. The fourth reason is similar. You sign up for a trial just to test something out. So you weren't super excited about it. You wanted to see what it was about. And again, still paying for that subscription over and over again, extending your trial that is no longer valid in hopes that you'll be able to get around to testing it out and using it to see if you even want to use it within your business. A fifth way is that we're paying for, believe it or not, some people still pay for magazine subscriptions to business journals and other applications, but are you reading them? Are you really reading them? Again, I'm speaking from experience here. A sixth way that money leaks out of the business is through insurance. So paying for insurance for your business. As a business owner, you have multiple types of business insurance, right? You have general liability, you have workers' comp insurance, if you have vehicles, you have auto insurance, right? And so paying for every year, insurance company renews, rates go up, but you don't even take the time to review the coverage to see if anything has changed, right? So reviewing your coverage to make sure that you're not overpaying for insurance that you no longer need. Maybe you have a policy that you had to put in place for a certain contract, and that contract is no longer active, or that contract has ended, yet you are still paying for the insurance. And then the seventh way that money leaks out of the business, and this one is probably the hardest one, is through people. It's through labor. So you're paying for salaries and wages and contractors, and your labor is more than 50% of your revenue. Now, ideally, we like it to be 30%, but there are some industries where it can be higher than 30%, and anywhere from 30 to 45 is like, okay, all right, we're doing things. But if your labor is 60, 70, 80% of your revenue, you are totally losing money. Either your team is not as productive as they need to be, your processes aren't as efficient as they need to be. You need to figure out where the gap is so that you can get that labor cost down. Now, I'm not saying fire people, because I'm not a proponent of that, but unless they aren't doing the job and they need to be fired, that's a whole nother thing. But figuring out how to make your team more efficient and make your processes more efficient so that you can bring in additional revenue to support those salaries is what needs to be done. But just paying people for the sake of paying people, they're underperforming, work isn't getting done, just doesn't even make sense. And running a business at that rate is not sustainable. You can't run a business with a 60, 70, 80% labor cost and expect to maintain that for a long term. It will eventually start to overlap, and you'll end up, if revenue drops or declines for any reason, and you still are maintaining these high labor costs, and you're not going to have enough money to help keep the lights on and pay those bills that keeps the lights on. And so looking at your labor and expense rates annually, but also making sure that you're not overpaying for contractors when you should be having employees, right? A lot of times business owners want to pay contractors because they feel like they're saving money on paying payroll taxes and they don't have to pay insurance. But the rates that a lot of contractors charge nowadays, I don't know that there's a true offset. Most businesses are not saving any money unless you're hiring offshore. You're not really saving any money. You're just taking out of one bucket and paying it into another bucket. So looking at whether you're paying someone as a contractor when you really need to be paying them as an employee, not just because of their salary, but also what they do. Again, another video, because people are paying for contractors when in fact they are truly employees. Again, you're not really saving money. You're just taking it out of one bucket and putting it in another. So those are 7 areas where I see money leaking out of businesses all the time. If you like this video and found this video helpful, please feel free to subscribe and share it with anyone that you think will also benefit from these money leak tips. Look forward to talking to you guys next week. Take care.